Welcome back to Raw Politics. Now, for the first time in over a decade, France could hold a referendum. President Emmanuel Macron is reportedly considering the idea to coincide with European elections. Now, the news comes as Yellow Vest protesters were out for the 12th weekend of demonstrations. Yellow Vesters marched to denounce police violence as well as the government. The protests continue despite Macron's efforts to hold national debate town hall meetings in France. The reported referendum would ask citizens if they want to reduce the number of national lawmakers and set term limits. One minister, however, said the government has yet to make a final decision. Well, our correspondent, Annelise Borges, has been following these developments closely, and she's joining us now from Paris. Annelise, good to see you there. What has the political reaction been to, these reports of a referendum?
Well, Tessa, France's political scene is divided over this. While many parliamentarians here in this country have been talking about that as a good idea for weeks now, suggesting that this could be indeed a good, strong political message from Emmanuel Macron and a good exit from this French national debate, this grand national experiment Emmanuel Macron has been conducting for weeks now in response to the Yellow Vest movement. And this could indeed be a response to one of the biggest requirements, demands by those people protesting in the streets who have been saying that France should be holding referendums systematically every time there is a big policy decision to be made. Others here believe that this would actually portray Emmanuel Macron as a weakened leader, bowing to pressure from the streets. And others, meanwhile, are actually concerned about the choice of date, because this referendum has reportedly been set for May 26th, the day of European Parliament elections. Take a listen.
Je ne suis pas convaincu que la réponse à cette crise soit par voie référendaire, mais c'est son choix, donc ce sera à lui de le dire ou pas. En tout cas, il y a une chose qui n'est pas acceptable ni envisageable pour moi, c'est que la voie référendaire vise à étouffer le débat européen. Donc ça ne peut en aucun cas, on ne peut en aucun cas avoir un référendum en même temps que les élections européennes, parce que ça veut dire de fait que ce serait une manœuvre politicienne pour étouffer le débat européen.
So that is Christian Jacob there, the president of Les Républicains here at the Assembly, who's likely to have said that to Emmanuel Macron when he met the French president this week. Emmanuel Macron is taking his charm offensive to a whole new level. He is actually hosting every single leader of every single political party that is represented in the National Assembly, in the Senate and in the European Parliament to try and galvanize support and to try and get them behind his idea of the national debate, but potentially also his idea of a referendum.
He's trying to get support, isn't he? But what has the reaction been among the French, particularly the Yellow Vest protesters, assuming that it really is his target audience?
Well, for now, the Élysée Palace has yet to confirm this move, this decision, this plan of a referendum. But we're likely to see divided reactions as well among the public, because a lot of people here in France have been indeed demanding more referendums, more public consultations, a different kind of democracy, they say, while others don't really believe Emmanuel Macron's intentions in actually reforming this country and listening to his people.
All right, thank you for that, Annelise Borges, our correspondent in Paris. And joining me in the studio to discuss this is Pauline Bock. She's a contributor for The New Statesman. We also have Thibaut Jacobs, a communications director with Fleishman Hillard. He previously ran his own consultancy firm in Paris, advising on campaigning and communications. And still with us, our political editor, Darren McCaffrey. All right, I think what we want to get to the core of here, first of all, is Macron's intentions. Why is he doing this? Start with you, Pauline.
Well, I think first he's trying to engage in different ways. He's launched this great national debate to debate in town halls, as Annelise said, and now he's trying something different. It's not yet he's not yet doing a referendum for sure, but he's testing ideas, I think. Mm-hmm. And this direct democracy demand from the Gilets jaunes is very strong. It's one we can see on every single Facebook group, in every single manifestation. I don't know if you saw during the In the image we saw earlier, there was a sign with RIC, or Referendum d'Initiative Citoyenne, and that's what they all demand. They want a direct referendum. They want this new system of direct democracy.
And from a strategic point of view, would you say this is a good move on Macron's part? Can you see what he's trying to do here?
Yes, but it's very risky. I think we agree on that. Referendums in France have always been very dodgy.
Why?
Like the first ever, for instance, was De Gaulle in 1969. He lost and he had to resign. So I kind of see why he's trying to do that. I mean, this to a unique situation, unique solution. Plus, the one claim on which Yellow Vests do agree is more democracy. The way they engage, the way they distrust politicians and the representation is probably the one common denominator to this entire situation.
Yeah.
So the solution might be a referendum. As we said, it's not confirmed yet. That's probably the only way out for him.
But then a referendum organised by Macron, who they hate and despise and don't trust, is that going to work?
Is this like,
Yeah,
I was saying,
so there are a few questions I got about this. I mean, first of all, the worst thing now would be not have a referendum. You cannot dangle a referendum like a carrot in front of people and then...
After saying it, and then
after,
no.
even though they haven't committed to it yet, I don't see how they can't. Second of all, I mean, on the issue of what they're actually going to vote on, it's not entirely clear that's what the people have been crying out for.
Right.
And third of all, if European leaders have learned anything in the last couple of years, whether it's Matteo Renzi in Italy or David Cameron in the UK...
Exactly, David Cameron, I was thinking...
Don't hold a referendum. It'll undoubtedly go against
So
you.
on the idea of the questions there, that if they actually matter to the French people, does it seem like a distraction to you if the questions are not actually that important?
But well, because French political history has shown that people don't really care about the questions.
Oh, do they not?
2005, the last referendum we had was on the European Constitutional Treaty.
Reform.
People didn't vote on that. They voted against.
Yeah, they're always
against
So they voted
right?
no to a constitutional reform back in 2005.
Yes,
Right.
and they
yes.
just rejected the policy of Chirac, not really the actual question.
Okay.
That's
so
the
people
reason.
don't care about the
So
question, you're saying.
the fear
so.
from Macron is that this turns into a referendum on him.
Exactly. And
Okay.
as Pauline said, I mean, people are focusing the hatred at these demonstrators against Macron, and
Okay.
it's very violent.
But let's look at how Macron is actually doing, because there was a poll released over the weekend. It was suggesting that Macron may be bouncing back from an approvals rating slump. It was quite bad for him recently. Harris Interactive's figures show that when the Yellow Vest protests began in November, the French president had a 32% approval rating. A month later, at the height of the movement, that rating fell to 31%. But for January, Macron was polling at 35%, a boost of, 4 points.
So
All right.
I've read, though, that there has been some praise for his handling in the last couple of weeks, that this big conversation or the big town hall stuff, the big debate, is working.
Is it? Do you think so?
It's not that clear, I think. On some parts of the political spectrum, mostly the right and the LREM, so his centrist party, there is this feeling that he's engaging, he's talking to people, and yet at the same time, the Gilets jaunes haven't changed their mind on him. They still think that he's not really engaging. He's kind of having these little phrases all the time about them and being really dismissive.
Okay, jump into it.
Yeah, because, I mean, 35% is quite low, but one should compare
Exactly,
that with
that's not even
Sarkozy
really high.
and Hollande.
Okay.
And to be fair, look at the results of the 2017 election. That was basically, that's already bigger than the support he had from day one. So he's not doing that bad.
Well, what about support, though, for the Yellow Vest protesters? Is it falling or is it the same? Or...
You know what? I really don't trust the surveys because against what are you going to measure that? People they don't even agree on the claims. So do French support
even
that?
Gilets jaunes don't agree on what they want.
That he's never going to be able to satisfy what seems like a relatively small number of people.
Well, it seems...
absolutely.
All right, when we're talking about why he's doing this, you as a campaign advisor, you said it was quite dangerous. So is it a gamble worth taking? What would you advise him if Macron came to you?
Oh, that would be tricky.
What would you tell him to do in terms of the referendum?
I think it's a smart move. And
You think it's a smart move, okay.
The way he's done politics since he started is disruption. Is disrupting the situation again.
But that's not disruption if de Gaulle's done it before. It's not exactly new, is it?
Yes, but he's taking people to their word, saying opponents, oppositions, and protesters, you want that? I call it.
Then he has to actually agree on the terms with them, which he's not really done yet.
Is he giving in? Is he giving in to the Yellow Vest protesters? At least he seemed to be suggesting. Is there an image of him?
Well, he
giving in to
hasn't
their
said that
demands?
he was going to change anything in his reforms,
you
so
can't-
he could always hold a referendum.
The problem is with politics, you can't have it both ways. You can't be seen to be open and listening and responding to what people say on one hand, and on the other hand, then apparently giving in.
Yeah.
You know.